You have vocab. Perfect timing. You have vocab. That's all right. We'll go through the lesson. We'll do the quiz after because I got to check their vocab. That will basically walk us through the lesson, which is also another reason why we decided it's a good idea to just do this. So you'll have a leg up already on what's going to be taught because you've already been familiarizing yourself with it somewhat, not only through the writing out of the definitions, but also all the hard studying you've been doing since yesterday. You can locate a star in the sky if you find the group or constellation to which it belongs. The stars in such constellations are like points that can be connected to form a picture. So when they talk about a point, and we said yesterday a point is a location in space, you probably heard the expression from point A to point B, okay? You know, oftentimes if you use MapQuest or whatever, they also use that, that phrase, the point A, where you're starting, to where you want to go, point B. Points are just like this. It's represented by what looks like a period and labeled with a capital letter. So you could have, point Z would be another possibility based on what you're working with, okay? But it's a location in space, okay? Not space like outer space, but anywhere it would be like space, like open space, okay? A line is a series of points, okay? If you were to think of a line as a series of points, all these points together give you this line. The difference between a line and something else is the fact that a line extends in opposite directions without end. If we were to have points on a line like such, we would label this particular line as line DE, and we label that with a little mini line with the arrows on it over the top. Or, if we didn't want to go DE, we could go ED if I wanted to label what particular line I was referring to. Okay? These are all good notes that your vocab does not tell you. So hopefully you're getting that stuff down. Because you will have to know it. And the difference between a line and a segment. A segment, okay, does not extend without end in either direction. A segment is kind of like part of a line. So if I had this same, if I use the same letters to label point, or excuse me, segment DE, I would put a mini segment over the top of it. Do I need to put the dots on either side? No. I just need to make sure that I don't have what? Arrows. Now, if you try to label the line with that, you're not talking about what parts of this line. If you label DE with just a segment bar over the top, what are you talking about, even if you want to talk about this whole thing? You're only talking about from here to there. If you want to show that it's a line, then on your label, you need to put the arrows. Otherwise, you're just talking about the segment, not the line. Does that make sense? So whatever it is you're trying to label, make sure your label is consistent with the letters that you use. An array has a little bit of each. It has an endpoint, and it extends in the opposite direction forever and ever and ever. Kind of like a ray of sunshine. Where's the ending point? Would be the sun, right? And from the sun, it extends outward, okay? So kind of like a ray of sunshine, a ray of light. So if I were labeling, let's use DE again. How would I label DE? If I wanted to label the ray. Yeah. Yeah. Or just, you know, a little mini ray on the top of it. Okay? Like I said, this stuff isn't in your vocab. So if you don't have it, it's probably a good idea that you get it. They don't necessarily explain it all that well. Okay? So let's take a look using that. Then we'll get on to the rest of them. Take a look at page 375, and let's look at numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. 375, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to put that knowledge into practice. Match each figure with its name. Okay? So, number 1, does that match up with A, B, C, or D? Number 1. Cal. B. Because it's a what? What would we call that? Segment. Good. So segment EF is what we get when we have B. How about number 2? What label fits the best with number 2? Yeah. Hey. It's a line. It has the arrows on the label. Okay. How about number 3? Brandon? Yeah. It's D. Yeah. It's D. Now, maybe did it throw you off because it was like this? It was EF, and then it was labeled like this. Yeah, that doesn't really matter so much. Okay, that doesn't matter so much. And then the last one, obviously, EF. Oh, no, it does matter. Sorry. I was looking at the wrong thing. Yeah. So if you have the arrow portion closest to the E, then on your label, your arrow portion should be closest to the E. Okay? So the opposite is also true on the EF this way. Okay? So the label for that one should have that. And the arrow usually just points to the right. Okay? You don't usually have that label pointing to the left. You know what's the difference? Okay. 5 through 12. Name each segment, ray, or line. How would I label number 5? How would I label number 5? Trinity. How would I specifically? It is a segment. HJ with what over the top? Yep. Just be careful. Just say like a mini segment. Don't say a straight line because then I'll draw arrows on it. Is that good? Okay. Number 6. How would I label QP? Looks like a ray. Willie. With the arrow toward the P? Good. And number 7. Joe. Line including the what? The arrows, right? Number 8. Cal. Mini segment, good. Number 9. Austin. RC with the arrow over the what? Over the C, right? Because that arrow extends from like where that C is on the actual ray itself. 10. Joe? You want to go EK? That's okay. With a line, right? And then 11. 11. Austin? segment over the top. And then 12, Willie? RT. Very good. Any questions on those? Yeah. No. Well, as soon as we had everyone back. But I wanted to go through the lesson first. We waited just for you guys. No, because I told the rest of them that I give the quiz out loud. So if it's not like a piece of paper I give you, like, oh, you missed it, here it is. Like, I actually, like, read off the... Yeah. But we got to finish first. Collinear. Collinear points on the same line, right? Points on the same line would be collinear, okay? They give you the example of, like, you get a point here, and like a point here. Now, you could draw a line through two of them, but you can't put one line through all three of them. So all three of them would not be collinear. The only ones that would be collinear would be the ones that would share a particular line. And those would all be labeled. So, give me an example of 2 points that would be collinear. Really? A and C would be collinear. Cal? B and C would be collinear. Trinity? A and B. But not 3 of them at once. It's possible you could have 3 of them that are collinear, but just not in that particular case. A plane, getting down to like 3-dimensional stuff. A flat surface with no thickness that extends without end in all directions on the surface. Okay. Plane is kind of like your canvas. A plane is kind of like your piece of paper, okay, that you would use. Intersecting lines would be lines that intersect, or using a different word than the you can't define a word with the word. Because if you don't know what intersect means, yes, you can say intersecting lines intersect. But if you don't know what intersecting means, you could say it, hey, cross. Good. Think of an intersection right over there, right on Washington Boulevard in Hawley. Why? Because that's where Washington Boulevard and Hawley cross. Okay? But they usually have stoplights or stop signs there, right? Parallel lines. Right. They could go on forever and never cross if they're parallel. And skew lines are lines that are not parallel and that do not intersect. They lie in different planes. So look at 374. You see the bottom of 374? It's like, if I were to use, I have to open up that Kleenex box that I used to use all the time. So if we looked at this, it's kind of similar to what that picture is trying to represent. This plane right here, it's in a totally different plane than like underneath here or down here or over on this side. No. So if we talked about intersecting lines, we would have to say this line would intersect with this one or this one, but this one would be parallel to this one. Now I can't really compare. Now I could compare this one to this one. It would be parallel. But this one to like this one in the back, they have nothing to do with each other. They're not even in the same plane. If I adjust this one, this same line could be also lying in this plane, depending on how it was flipped. But if it's way in the back, to trying to compare it to one that's in the front, they don't have anything to do with each other. Okay? So if you look at the example, it says AE and DC are skewed. So they're saying, like, this one and this one up here. This one and this one. They're not parallel. They don't intersect. Okay? They have nothing to do with it. They're not even in the same plane. Okay? So I think we're good. Yeah, we did plane. Intersecting our lines that cross.